every single thing that I come across now, I'm thinking differently. I'm like, how can I make this easier? How can I make this replicable? This is something that I need to dictate because I need to train somebody on this more than once. And that's a dynamic shift in just how I'm operating entirely. So thank you guys for
Sure.
that. And I know we're not even done yet, but like if you've done nothing but make me think differently and think smarter, that's like a huge, huge step in the right direction.
This isn't some scripted testimonial. In just a second, we will return to the rest of Brad's story. But first, please understand this was a real coaching call where Brad had a massive breakthrough. He saw firsthand what AI can do to scale a brokerage, train agents, and automate time sucking tasks. And the best part, this isn't just for Brad, this is for you. Your biggest competitor isn't the brokerage down the street. It's not the economy. It's not even the person you see in the mirror every day. Your biggest competitor is time. Because right now, the real estate game is changing. The brokers and team leaders who are positioned for success are the ones who stop trying to do everything manually and start building something bigger than themselves. Something that can operate, scale, and grow without them being in the middle of every little thing. And Brad saw this firsthand. He was already running a high performance brokerage, but he was still caught in the trap, running too many systems, handling too much, and stuck in the day to day. Then we built him something different. Not a CRM, not a chatbot, not another marketing agency. We built him a custom AI brokerage assistant, a personal GPT trained to think like him, operate like him, and execute exactly how he wanted. And when he saw what it could do, everything changed. My name is Rod Ferrier, and along with my friend and business partner Jonas Mitchell, we help business owners like Brad leverage their knowledge, expand their team while growing and scaling their business. So, watch and listen to Brad's personal story. I warn you though, there are quite a few F bombs dropped throughout this call, but hey, it's life changing, and I hope you have your own aha moments. And make sure to stick around to the end to learn how you can gain access to the same AI powered tools Brad is using right now in his business. And now back to Brad's story. How can you leverage your time to reproduce yourself? And that's what we're working through. Literally,
Yep.
that's what we're working through. And one of the outcomes could be that you expand into larger areas if you wanted to, right? You could. You could do Richmond. You could do a piece of Northern Virginia, right? So,
Yeah.
being able to replicate your success and operate within your framework, that's what we're doing. So while it may seem slow, leverage that downtime to do something that's going to pay dividends, is going to, replicate you. So when it does pick back up, summer, fall, all of that, you've already planted the garden, man, and then you will be harvesting the results, right?
That's what we're trying to do.
All
I mean,
right.
I have been trying to leverage the quote unquote downtime to put some more stuff in place. And honestly, a lot of that is rooted in what you guys have me thinking about and just figuring out ways to do things faster, more efficient, and repeatable. Just even like I said, just building some of these little kind of custom chat chains and GPTs and stuff like that make things go faster. I mean, the goal is to get to a point where the GPT is creating most everything for me, and then I can leverage $5 an hour help overseas to do the actual pushing out of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we're doing really well with that, I think. You know, just being it and like I'm thinking through things in a different I'm already thinking through things in a different mindset than what I have been previously. It's like I'm thinking, and I'm thinking about like newer and different ways to like evolve and dump all of my knowledge into places. So like another thing that I'm going to start working on is like a bigger rock for me is to basically take like all of this data and knowledge that I have about the different neighborhoods in Harrisonburg, right? And Scott Rogers has a website that he created that's just like Harrisonburg neighborhoods. That's just like a stupid little IDX syndicated thing that says median sales prices and stuff like that. But I'm like, wait a second. No, I'm going to take that. I'm going to do a narrative telling everything that I want to know about that neighborhood, what like that I've just accrued through the years, right? Knowing who, when was it built, why do people live there, what is it most similar to, like what schools does it feed to, just like fucking dictate that into something so that then you have like a Harrisonburg neighborhoods GPT that
Yeah.
knows all the different shit. And so then as we're training our other agents, it's like, oh, what should I know about this neighborhood? Well, just fucking ask the GPT.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Boom.
just ask it. Like, oh, what's the best neighborhood in Harrisonburg for walkability? Well, probably this one. Why? Because I know it, like, I know that shit off the top of my head, but I'm like, no, we need to get all of what's up here down and on paper so it can continue to train, you know, on top of that. So I'm thinking differently about like every fucking little thing that I do in the business and like batch creating stuff. Like, I think I told you guys too about my teleprompter and now how I've replaced my previous video marketing company. I tell you guys about that.
You mentioned
Oh,
the teleprompter. Yes, you've had it for like a year or so and weren't using it. But I think you mentioned something about you were considering a change in your marketing. I can't. I think that was like kind of back at the beginning of when we discussed. But if you want to share the details, you're welcome to.
Yeah, so I used to use a company called Viral Marketing that basically did like 2 times a month email messaging, and it was like they do videos and they would put it out on YouTube, my social media, and send an email and send me the click through rates and shit like that. And I basically just took their formula because they give it all away for free if you're on their email list. I started copying, pasting, creating documents for it, and I created a custom, like a project. It's not a custom GPT, but it serves as such. Where I trained the GPT, I said, I want you to execute based on this tutorial and this formula and give me all the deliverables. And I basically replaced viral marketing and I just prompt it with the question. Like, and it spits out everything. It spits out the fucking video script, the short form script, all the captions, all of the titles, YouTube description, SEO optimized blog post that it can't tell it was written by fucking AI and it's specific to Harrisonburg, Rockingham, like, and it spits it all out in 60 seconds. So I can generate a year's worth of evergreen content in an hour and then just go batch shoot it all. Then I just need an editor.
yep.
Like I'm starting, like I said, now I'm fit. Like you guys got me thinking in a way where it's like, okay, how can I train or how can I teach this thing to do this for me in the way that I want it to be done? So, and then to make it simple. So I just say, okay, do this following the formula I've already given you.
Bingo.
And now I'm like even incorporating like the framing and like the best practices and like who do I want it to embody as it's talking and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so like I took a reload client all over fucking creation this weekend from fucking Fort Valley to Woodstock to Quicksburg to Folks Run, which is about 3 hours of driving. But the whole time I was listening to exactly what to say. And like a lot of what is in that book is shit that I already was doing intuitively, but never actually like documented it. But now I'm like, okay, like the first thing I did this morning was I had a lead that I needed to respond to. I was like, respond to this lead inquiry follow best practices from exactly what to say. And it spit out perfect. And I was like, generate me an open. I had an open house yesterday, which was my best open house in like fucking 3 years, which was 5 groups of people. And it was in grottos in the middle of nowhere. I thought it was going to be a giant fucking waste of time. But we got a couple viable prospects out of it. And I was like, fuck, man, I need to kind of like up my game on what we actually do with our open house follow up. So I was like, all right, create an open house follow up campaign using best practices from Tom Ferry and exactly what to say for real estate agents. And this should be conversational and get people to engage with our content further, show them that we are here to help them as they consider the buying process, even if this was not the right property. And it spit it out. I was like, yeah, that's even better than I could have done. And so now and then it asked me, it's like, do you want me to make this into a follow-up boss thing for you? I was like, yep, copy, paste, sent to Emily. Emily's putting it into follow-up boss for me.
Nice.
As a campaign. I'm like, every single thing that I come across now, I'm thinking differently. I'm like, how can I make this easier? How can I make this replicable? This is something that I need to dictate because I need to train somebody on this more than once. Like, and that's a dynamic shift in just how I'm operating entirely. So thank you guys for that. And I know we're not even done yet, but like if you've done nothing but make me think differently and think smarter, that's like a huge, huge step in the right direction.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. We do this. Yes, it's part of our business, but we genuinely care about the outcome and seeing the expressions on your face and how and liberating, right? How liberating is it to have a tool that you can leverage to not just add massive value to your audience, right? You're not just adding massive value, you are creating massive leverage inside of that value, right? Positioning, authoritative positioning, even in a small market. But, the other side is being able to recruit and train agents and provide them with that knowledge that you have right now and that aha moment that you're having right now to be able to train and recruit agents because of that framework.
Yep. It's
How cool is that?
It's let me shortcut it for you. Why? Because you're not going to compete with me anyway. Like,
right.
It's it's that piece to the puzzle, and it's like, let me find a way to shortcut this, and then just fucking give it to my people so they can actually see massive value, right? We've talked about recruiting before, and I talked to Molly about this a little bit too. It's like, I fucking hate the idea of recruiting because most agents fucking suck. Most of them never actually get the momentum that they need, and the ones that do will hop around because it's always about who can pay me more or what cap is being advertised or any of that other shit. I'm like, no, I want to get to a point where we've built this fucking massively easy optimized system for people to operate in so they can. And then the next layer of that leverage is have a whole team of fucking overseas people who execute it for you, or over time as the technology continues to evolve, like use fucking Zapier. And I was watching something yesterday about that, about like the beta phase of like taking custom GPT and integrating it with Zapier to actually get it to do shit for you. And I'm like, let's figure out the way to not only duplicate myself, duplicate my knowledge and everything, but let's make this fucking easy so a 5-year-old can type the prompt in or follow the instruction manual that literally just says prompt this for that, prompt this for that. It'll give you all of the deliverables. Why? Because I've trained it to do so. And then all you got to do is either go paste them yourself or hire somebody to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do those things, you will be far and above the baseline for our industry, far and above, and way far and above the baseline for around here.
Right.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm all jazzed up about that, and I've been playing. If you look at my engagement, and I deleted my old ChatGPT and started a new account with my other Gmail that's integrated, just because that's where everything's living now. I'm slowly dissociating, but before I did that, I copied all the chat history, exported and archived it, and asked it. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna start a new account. What should I do to make sure that it does this?" And it spit out everything for me. I said, "Great." And I took it and put it in the new thing, so then it could already start kind of remembering how I like to be interacted with and shit like that. So, yeah, lots of fun.
I know, right?
And the question I have for you, Brad, is I mean, I understand that you see the value in this tool, but as from a business owner, from a broker's perspective, right, from a team leader's perspective, you are the top of the business, right? Um, what is if you were to share this with someone in your position, right, someone just like you, what would you say?
So if I was gonna be if I'm a promoter for you guys to somebody else,
Well, that yes, but I'm talking more about the tool itself. Yes, I mean, sure, promote us. That would be great. But now that you understand the power of it, sharing this with someone else in your position, and you want to get them there as fast as possible. Some people are going to be afraid of it. Some people
no,
are going to.
it's yes. So what I would say is, if you're not, and I'm saying this too, if you're not using it 30 minutes a day, you're falling behind. I mean, you should be using it more than I use it more than that. But like, if you're not using it at least 30 minutes a day, you're falling behind. And like the whole concept of like AI is coming to take your job. No, AI is coming to make you better at your job if you're willing to embrace it. If not, yes, it will take your job.
Yeah. I think
It's
someone
it's
said it
that
best.
and go ahead.
Yeah, I think someone said it best. They said AI is not coming to take your job. Someone using AI is.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I mean, the other thing too, I mean, is it's just like I think about this, I'm like, good God, if I like, what would I have done early in my career if I had all of these tools, or if I was able to generate, that fucking open house campaign at like that I generated in fucking 30 seconds here this morning. Meanwhile, what I did previously when I started was I'd go fucking Google for all of the resources that were available, try and, stitch it together, here, this, that, the other, and take, kind of best practices and this, that, the other. And I did that. But I'm like, holy smokes, you can generate this shit in a fraction of the time. And it's just like it's there. Like, and yeah. So I mean the short answer is it's just like what I would say to somebody in my same position is, do you actually care about making your life easier or not? Do you care about making your processes more streamlined and efficient? You know, like I'm just like I said, I'm seeing like just like infinite fucking possibilities for how this shit gets it or how it gets implemented into my business and makes my life easier. And also I mean, the biggest piece of it is multiplying the output and keeps me in my space of doing what I enjoy doing and what I'm good at, which is just the being with the clients, being present, having fun with them, cracking jokes, like enjoying that part of the process. But then, you know, this is just like about streamlining all of that other back end bullshit type stuff that is repeatable and just is a massive time suck. That's really what it comes down to is like, I mean, something as simple as, like I said, just responding to this lead who was asking about and had some specific questions about a short-term rental. I just fucking typed it in there and said, please respond to this, and then copy paste. Email is the best way to get me. No problem. I'd rather have ChatGPT email you. Like, yeah, that type of stuff. And then, like I said, just to multiply your output. I mean, and now I'm thinking like I'm building like, especially since I've followed so many through the years, I've followed so many different like gurus and other stuff. I'm starting to identify and I'm like, that's all ChatGPT, that's all ChatGPT, that's all
Yep.
ChatGPT.
Yep.
And I've started to identify
Yep.
it, but it's like it works because it works. Now I'm like, okay, take all of the best practices that I like from this person and from this person and from this person, because I've to some degree embodied a lot of those things, right? But it's like, okay, take all these best practices and we're just gonna mix it all up and teach you how to use that to do the same thing a little bit better, you know?
Different.
anytime I
A
get
little
a,
different.
anytime I get an ad from another person trying to sell me some sort of coaching program, this, that, the other, like I got an ad from like a company called Viral Coach that does like basically AI script writing and editing and stuff like that. I'll pretty much opt into anybody's email list just to see what they're selling and just rip off and duplicate. And that's what I've been doing. I'm like, yeah, actually, this is good content. Let's just copy that. Let's put that into something. So when I say what I want you to write me a short form talking head script that follows a particular formula, take all the best practices from here and do it.
Yeah.
It's that type of shit that I'm like, oh, wow, this is far more expedient. And yes, we have my sauce and my flair, but I get to show that in my personality as opposed to like, and putting myself on camera and doing it expediently. Like, yeah, that's the stuff, man. I mean, sorry, I just went on a like total freaking ramble, but the short answer is, do you actually care about having any semblance of a life and being able to do anything replicably and scalably? If the answer to that question is no, first of all, why are you even in business? And then secondly, like, how could you not?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's
And I want to, and I mean,
You sort of just recorded a 27-minute infomercial for me, man. I appreciate that. Maybe I get your permission in writing to use a piece of that. And
please go right ahead. No, go right ahead. I mean,
that
I
story
am a,
though is what we want more of. You know, the impact that Jonas and I want to have on business owners is just that. Is the freedom that you have and the ability to be more creative in your business because you are not having to do all of those things or think about all of those things, and you end up, as you said, outsourcing work to a company. For how much were you paying them a month? 500, 1,000? What were your
well, so when I was doing, or when it was, or when Viral was doing it for me, it was 750 a month.
so 750 a month, and you just took that over and have better content that's more personal, and custom to your business and your brand, right? And you have enhanced the effectiveness and the efficiency of that entire process.
And I mean, the thing is, like, I literally can do everything that they do. All I need is a video editor.
Well, we can have
Which
that
you can get at
conversation
$5.
offline.
I mean, not for long, right? Yeah, because like you can also do that inside of some AI stuff. But I mean, if nothing else, like if that's all I'm hiring for, $5 an hour, sure, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, and
No
that's a
problem.
conversation we can have offline, outside of this. That is something that we can certainly assist you in getting set up and give you some options and advice anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
At a
Because
minimum.
like, yeah. And then, like I said, just like the idea of asking or of having it ask me questions is just also identifying gaps in my own processes and the way that I think through things. I'm like, oh shoot, I wouldn't have even thought about asking that question, but like that's such a better deliverable just because you asked that. Like, yeah, I mean, and now, like I said, I'm creating all sorts of just like basic playbooks and checklist systems and then training it based off of that. It's like, okay, wait, hang on. This is not like, one thing I was playing with was like, okay, I want a 14-day content plan for a new listing that I have coming up. Why? Because it's taking that much long. Like, it's not just you can fucking put up a just listed post and everything's great. Like, I mean, the median days on market for active listings right now is over 50 in Harrisonburg, Rockingham. So what that means is the client care component and the conversations of what are you doing for me to market my property beyond what you did in the first week are extending longer and longer. Well, now I've I've created basically 30 days of content all generated, and all I had to do was go fucking shoot the B-roll for it. Okay, no problem. Shoot the B-roll, put it, and then put an admin or somebody into CapCut, and they have already got all the deliverables. It's just like, just take the B-roll that I shot for you. It took, and I mean, at that point, you hire an intern to go shoot it for you, whatever. But like, even still, like, I go shoot the B-roll all in 1 hour time block, and all the deliverables are already there. And then then when they say, "Oh, what have you done for me lately?" It's like, well, actually, your property's had a post about it daily, or your property's had a post about it every 2 days since we listed it. And it's a mix and variety of content that is likely to be consumed because this is what people are actually this is what people are consuming, right? They're consuming reels to the point too where like I literally, like, Alicia in my office was like, I really like what you guys are doing with the reels content. I'm like, literally, it's all fucking CapCut and it's all CapCut, B-roll, and ChatGPT generated. Like that, those are the things. Like, now I'm like, dude, and again, that like coming full circle back to it, it's like, oh, all of these resources that felt like they were out of reach for me to create because they felt super time intensive, because, yeah, that would be great to improve the client experience, but how am I going to come up with something like that? Or how long is it going to take me to do that? It's like, no, create the fucking relocation guide that I would have loved to have had to deliver to my clients when they were considering. Take all that information out of my head, put it down into a consumable format, and then send it to a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
Great, create it.
Yep.
Great, create it, send it back to me. As long as the content's there, I don't really fucking care. It's just about having something physical that I can give to somebody that makes them feel better about our interaction.
Different versus better, right?
Bingo.
Yep. It's a matter of having all of the resources at your disposal to improve that. Like, again, and everything ultimately comes down to making the two purposes that I exist for is to make my agent's life easier and to make the client experience better. If I'm doing those two things as a broker owner, we can't fail. We really can't. If you do those two things, people are not going to want to leave you because, well, rather, if they do, it's because they think they can do it better, faster, stronger, whatever, and they can go figure that out. Have fun, be safe, wish you the best. Please outgrow me. I'd be so proud. I'll cheer you on the whole way. But I just want to make it. I've been through that fucking school of hard knocks, man. I've spent hours and hours and hours studying, watching YouTube videos, Googling, all that other shit. I'm like, now it's just like, okay, now let's just build all the resources so they won't feel like they could go anywhere else, and make it easy so that they can just plug and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All that.
Like Mel Gibson said, freedom.
Uh,
And
yeah,
it's like I
and
said, it's unlimited possibilities for, you know, the people who learn from me to continue to grow in that regard, right? It's like you want to outgrow me, that's perfectly fine. Go right ahead. Take everything that I'm giving you, do it faster, do it better. If you outgrow me, you don't think that I provide enough value for you, that's perfectly fine. There'll be somebody behind you. But if I can use you, the caveat there being, I can now use you as a track record as to why somebody wants to come work with me.
mhm.
Because if you look at the people who have come through my school, through my training, through my, mentorship, whatever you want to call it, and they're the people who are killing it in the market, you've sold me before I ever have to do anything.
Mhm.
I mean, that's, it's that type of shit. And
There's an opportunity to leverage and monetize that same knowledge, even if it's not selling real estate. You can, if you've trained five top producers or multi-million, 10 multi-million, if you are the rainmaker in that category, right? You make $100,000 a day,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
I mean, it's, it drives me insane that everybody in real estate's trying to coach you on shit, but I have a very, very compelling case as to why somebody would want to follow my model.
Oh, absolutely.
And now that I'm interacting with people who are the quote unquote top 1% of top 1% and volume and transaction numbers and this, that, the other, I'm like, dude, I'm running fucking circles around you guys in a tiny market. And when I see like that's the quote unquote best of the best and that's the baseline, I'm like, yo, you guys probably do want to come coach with me because if I could do it in an MSA that did fucking 1,355 sales last year and I had a 3% market share as an individual agent,
Right.
okay, yeah, and
What would something like 3% in market share look like in an area like, let's just say, Fairfax County?
geez, I mean, Reston is one zip code, they do as many sales as we do.
Okay, so if you just specialize in Ruston, 3% would approximately be how many closings in a year? 200?
So let's say Reston has three zip codes, for example, 20190, 20191, something like that. So let's just say that Reston does 1,350 times three zip codes is 4,050 sales in Reston times 0.03 would be 121 deals just in three zip codes.
Okay, not a bad paycheck for a year.
No, and then when you think about the average sales price there of probably, yeah, let's say 650, 78 million,
And if you are on a 3% or 2%, what does that come to?
2 million, 1.9.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's, like I said, I love where I live, but I do also, and the lessons that I've learned here will duplicate elsewhere tenfold.
Mhm.
Um, But I think about that too. I'm like, I think about these like as I'm building these resources and stuff like that. That's the shit that people will pay for.
Mhm.
If you can actually shortcut it and I mean, I think about it too. I'm like, fuck, man, like economies of scale. Like just develop one fucking resource that somebody can fucking pay $10 for.
Mhm.
Sure. $10 sold to
1,000 people,
1,000 people.
1,000 people.
Yeah. It's that type of thing that like I'm starting to recognize the greater like uh economies of scale in having a digital business to some degree. That now I'm like, okay, this is where we're getting there. Like, and then I can go speak, which is what I want to do.
Now, if you are still watching, you already get it. You see what Brad saw, that AI isn't just some gimmick. It's the future of brokerage automation. Brad now has a personal AI brokerage assistant that works for him 24/7, scaling his marketing, training his agents, and executing tasks exactly how he wants them done. And the best part, you can have this too. If you are ready to stop grinding and start leveraging AI like Brad, let's talk. Click the link below, book a ChatGPT for a real estate strategy call with us, and let's discuss building your personal AI assistant. Not just another tool, but a system that changes how you run your business forever.